Welcome back to our weekly market wrap-up. Markets broke their two-week losing streak as the RBI surprised with a 50 bps repo rate cut to 5.5% and India's 7.4% GDP growth added to the optimism. So stay tuned, and by the end of this video, we'll unpack what drove this rally and what to expect in the week ahead. This week, the Sensex rose by 0.9% to close at 82,188.9, and the Nifty 50 gained 1.0%, finishing at 25,003.0. Mid-cap and small-cap indices outperformed, rising 2.1% and 1.9% respectively. These gains were fueled by the RBI's surprise rate cut, easing inflation, and improved domestic sentiment. Let's take a look at this week's key economic updates. The RBI cut the repo rate by 50 bps to 5.5%, shifting its stance from accommodative to neutral. This was supported by easing inflation and steady economic growth. The CPI inflation forecast for FY26 was revised down to 3.7%, while GDP growth was retained at 6.5%. India's Q4 FY25 GDP rose to 7.4%, and full-year growth came in at 6.5%. The FY25 fiscal deficit stood at 4.8% of GDP. Manufacturing PMI slipped to 57.6 in May, while services PMI rose to 58.8, and the composite PMI stayed strong at 59.3, reflecting resilient demand. Globally, in Europe, Eurozone inflation eased, boosting hopes of an ECB rate cut. Spain and Italy PMIs improved, while Germany's factory orders grew by 0.6%. Australia's GDP expanded 1.3% YOY. In China, manufacturing contracted, but services expanded. Exports rose while imports declined. In the US, manufacturing activity weakened. Job openings increased, but hiring slowed, and jobless claims rose, indicating a softening labor market ahead of the Fed's next policy move. Among this week's top gainers, Eternal surged 14.6% after Morgan Stanley reaffirmed an overweight rating and 320 target. Dr. Reddy's gained 5.8% on news of co-developing a Keytruda biosimilar with Alvotech. Shriram Finance rose 5.5% amid strong trading volumes, signaling investor confidence. On the downside, the top losers were Tata Steel, down 3.4% following a dividend payout. HDFC Life, down 3.3% due to a revenue dip and concerns around bank assurance. TCS, down 3.2% amid global headwinds, BSNL contract delays, and weak deal flow. HDB Financial Services saw a 30% surge in share value ahead of SEBI's IPO approval. Vikram Solar received SEBI nod for a 1,500 crore IPO. The BlueSmart Gensol case saw fresh insolvency petitions filed. NSE's market cap neared 6 lakh crore, positioning it for India's largest IPO. Other high-interest unlisted companies include MSEI, NSE, Apollo Green Energy, Farmiazi, CSK, NSDL, and Tata Capital. That wraps up this week's market highlights. Here's what to watch in the week ahead. Markets have started the week strong, riding on the RBI's surprise rate cut and lower inflation outlook. Investors are currently favoring banks, NBFCs, autos and railways, with a buy-on-dip sentiment. India's retail inflation data for May will be released on the 12th of June, after April's record low of 3.16%. Trade data for May is expected on the 13th of June, after April's trade deficit hit $26.4 billion, the highest since November 2024. Globally, watch for China's inflation and trade data on June 9th and the US inflation and PPI numbers on June 11th and 12th. The University of Michigan's June consumer sentiment comes out on June 13th, with last month's reading revised to 52.2 near 2022 lows. That's all for today. Stay connected with Tikona Capital for more insights and wealth-building opportunities from the themes of the decade. Explore more on tikonacapital.smallcase.com to know more. Don't forget to like, comment and share. See you next week.